Now up to this point, we have only been using loops in association with lists. We have been looping through the list and getting hold of each of the items in the list and do something with it. So as you can see, in this case, we were looping through the list called vegetables and printing out vegetable to the console. So we are holding each vegetable inside this vegetable variable, then printing out to the console like this. But we are not always going to be working with the list using for loops. Sometimes we might want to use a loop completely independent of list. Now let's say we have a real life question like this, which asks the sum of integer numbers from 1 to 100. Instead of inserting them one by one, then summing up them by looping through the list, we have a more efficient way. Because it's really a headache to insert all numbers from 1 to 100 in a list one by one. And also, the question might ask for summing integers from 1 to 1000. So this is almost impossible to insert them one by one to the list. So to sum these numbers in an efficient way, first we have to learn about using loops with range function. Now the range function is something is really helpful if you want to generate a range of numbers to loop through. And the syntax by using the range function inside loop will look like this. Here we still have got for and in keywords highlighted in blue, and instead of looping through the list, we define how our loop is going to work by creating a range. So in this case, I'm creating a range between A and B, then I'm going to get hold of each number in that range inside this number variable and do something with this number. Now in this case, if I put for A 1 and for B 10, it's going to print out all numbers from 1 to 10, but not including the 10. Now for example, I'm just going to comment this part. So if I write a loop with range from 1 to 10, it's going to be like this. For number in, we are going to put range. So I'm just going to put from 1 to 10. Then I'm going to print out that number to the console. Now if I run our code, you will see that it's going to print out numbers from 1 to 9. So 10 is not included over here. So if you want to get numbers from 1 to 10, you have to put over here 11. So as you can see, in this case, last number is 10. So when you are using range function, the second parameter over here, which shows the end of the range, is not included. So you have to always add 1 by over here. Now by default, we'll step through all the numbers from start to end, and it will increase by 1. But if you want to increase by any other number, then you have to add another comma over here and provide number. Now in this case, if I run our code, you will see that in this case, it's starting from 1, then plus 2, then plus 2, then plus 2, and then plus 2. So the increase rate over here is by 2. So if I put 3 over here, for example, it's going to run 1, 4, 7, and 10. So as you can see, it's increased by 3. Now this is how range function works. Now let's come back to problem that I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson. So how can we add up all numbers from 1 to 10 using code? So well, it's going to involve for loop over here, and it's going to involve range function. Now I'm just going to delete this part, and for printing out the numbers from 1 to 100, I'm going to put 101. So if I run our code, you will see that it's printing out all numbers from 1 to 100. Now then, we have to sum up these numbers over here. Now to sum up these numbers over here, as I mentioned before, we need to use accumulator. So here I'm going to declare a new variable which will be the total. So I'm going to initialize it to 0, because when we are summing up them, we are going to add with the 0. Now then, inside this loop over here, in indented level, I'm going to put total plus equal number. So with this, we are adding looped numbers to this total over here. Now at the end, we can print out total to the console. So here, outside of the loop, I'm going to put total, print total. Now if I put print inside this loop over here, it's going to print out the total in each step. Now let's run our code. You'll see that in this case, the sum of the numbers from 1 to 100 is 5050. Now to see the details how this is calculated, if I just select this print statement and hit tab and put this inside this loop over here in indented level and run our code, you will see that in each step it's calculating the sum. So first it starts from the 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, then 1 plus 2 is 3, so it's continuing like this until end, and at the end we have 5050 over here. Now with this, by using range function over here, we have successfully calculated the sum of numbers from 1 to 100. Now let's head over to next lesson and try a complete challenge using range function to see if you manage to internalize and understand everything we talked about in this lesson. So for all of that and more, I'll see you there.